right, we're here with Rachel Campos Duffy. She is a reality TV star and, more importantly, a mother and also a wife to newly elected Congressman Sean Duffy. But we wanted to talk to you a little bit about pop culture today. I know that you just emceed a panel about that. And it seems like every time, I look at pop culture, I think it can't get any worse, and then it does.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know if you see any positive trends, and if so, what those are.
Wow. I think that there are some shows that actually, if they're watched with a parent, have some intrinsic value to it, or at least have a lesson to it. One that comes to mind, I think, is Teen Mom, 16 and Pregnant. Yes, I think that there are some lessons to be shown about life, about consequences. But I would say that it's a show that I would recommend that parents watch with their kids, because while there is a pro-life message sort of wrapped up in it, there's a lot of sort of, boyfriends that just kind of walk in and open the fridge, and there's sort of like a casualness about the sexual life of these teenagers and the acceptance by the adults that I think can send a wrong message. So a lot of it, parents need to be aware of. But, you're seeing like with Skins, the new MTV show.
Yeah, I know that's been big topic.
There is a profit and I believe an ideological agenda and a profit motive to keep pushing the envelope. And when we have producers and executives who are actually wondering if what they're filming is, kiddie porn, we know we have a problem. I recently wrote a column about what we can do as parents. I mean, I did go on CNN, on Anderson Cooper, and I complained about, and I talked about, who are these executives, and I want them to be more responsible. But at the same time, we also need to be good parents. And I think if we're good parents, and we're raising kids who are well-rounded, who are interested in politics, who are interested in ideas and culture and sports, that the power of popular culture can be at least minimized. But if kids are raised in an environment where they're never exposed to an interesting conversation or history or anything else, I think that the power of, whether it's Hannah Montana or, in the case of my kids are younger, to Skins, to the Real World, to whatever is out there, is just so much greater. And so as parents, if we make the world bigger, then popular culture becomes smaller.
They won't focus on that. Now, would you encourage conservatives to do things like reality shows? Would you encourage them to participate in something like that? Or?
Yeah, I think a case can be made that conservatives, there's a feeling some conservatives have that it's all bad and let's just throw our hands up and, sort of surrender the whole popular culture idea to liberals. And I think it's a bad idea. I think that there are writers out there who are producing some good shows, or could be producing good shows. I think that I think that my show is pretty trivial. It was some 15 years ago, but I'm amazed at how many people still come up to me and say, I was a conservative in this little town and I thought nobody was like me, or I was a conservative in New York City and I thought there was nobody that listened to cool music or dressed like you that was like me. And so in some ways it can be a way to represent for some people. The danger, of course, is that the real world now is not what the real world was before, and so it depends on what kind of show you're going to be on. Nowadays, I can't even really recognize
what it was. Yeah. Now, one conservative who I would say kind of seems that pop culture just kind of seems to be attracted to her is Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
What do you think that it is about her that just kind of draws that kind of interest, and is there a way that conservatives can market themselves to be attractive to pop culture, but in a way that where they're not obviously sacrificing their values?
Well, just before my session, Donald Trump came on, and I think he was such a hit because he just says what he thinks, and whether you agree with it or not. I mean, here he was in a crowd of all these Rand Paul, fanatics, and he said, "Oh, Rand Paul can't win," or I'm sorry, Ron Paul. Yeah, Rand Paul also spoke. Sorry about that. He said, Ron Paul can't win, and of course the crowd turned on, but it was kind of exciting to be in that moment. And I think Sarah Palin is the same way. I think she's somebody you can always count on to say what she thinks, and she's very authentic. And I think that her reality show really shows shows that part of her. And so I think that it is successful because of that. So, yeah, I would not, and by the way, the left hates her because she's so successful. There is absolutely nobody on the left right now of her stature that could pull off a show like that. So they can poo-poo it all they want, and they can minimize her and make fun of her, but the truth is, they're jealous.
She's an impressive.
Yeah, they're hating because she's they're jealous, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so my final question for you.
Sure.
So your husband was just elected to Congress in November. How do you keep him grounded? Like, how do you keep him from becoming too inside the Beltway? How do you keep your family from becoming too inside the Beltway? How do you keep those roots?
Well, we live in Wisconsin, so that's the first thing.
Okay.
He does sleep in his office. He has an air mattress, so he's never very comfortable in Washington. So physically, in that sense, that helps. But you know, we have 6 kids, and so when Sean is home, there's not a lot of, you know, we don't suddenly, you know, prepare everything for his entrance. He comes into chaos.
It's expected to work, yeah.
The trash isn't out. Here's a baby.
That's good, though. That's good. That's cute.
I do think I keep him grounded because what has made our family arrangement, what people always go, how do you do 6 kids? Well, you know, I would not have, you know, I don't think I could have handled having 6 kids without a partner like Sean. Sean is a total hands-on dad. He's as comfortable, you know, changing a diaper as he is, you know,
giving a speech.
Giving a speech, or, you know, he was a district attorney before, you know, I always say as he was, you know, giving closing arguments. So he's somebody who comes home and there's a partnership, we're equals, which, by the way, that's what I like about Sarah Palin and Todd. And
yes, very much so, very much so, yeah.
So he's kind of my Todd Palin. And so I think that by me keeping it real, I mean, there's just no way around it. He just, when you have 6 kids, nothing keeps you more authentic than, you know, kids who really don't care, you know, what you do in Washington. They just want their daddy home. So, and going to the baseball game or whatever it is that's going on. So I don't think it's that hard. But I have to say, I like the air mattress arrangement.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. I think taxpayers like it too.
Yeah,
I think
so too. They can relate.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I really, really appreciate it.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So you've been doing these little interviews all the time?
Yes.